The following is a sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning, Andy Brownell, along with Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results for our regular Saturday visit about Rochester real estate. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning, Andy.
And we have arrived at Memorial Day, the weekend.
And it's going to rain, like usual. It wouldn't be Memorial Day in Minnesota without the rain.
All these years of living in this state, the one thing about Memorial Day is they always seem to forecast rain or even sometimes snow for the entire weekend, but somehow, magically, one of these days will be nice.
Yeah,
it always works out that way.
I agree.
Okay, so we have been talking, well, for months and months and months, but the last couple of weeks specifically, a lot of real estate statistics kind of checking in on what's happening out there considering the pandemic. And you've received some new data that kind of confirms what you've been saying all along about the trend taking place in the real estate market locally. Is that correct, Robin?
Yes, and I'm very excited about that. So each week, Brenda Tusshouse, who is our acting CEO at RE/MAX Results, sends us the statistics for each one of the areas that RE/MAX Results has an office. There are several of them throughout the state. And it's interesting to me that even though the Twin Cities showings are still down, but not much. They're down like 10% over the same week last year. I mean, that is not that bad, right?
Right.
But in greater Minnesota, I think where people have had, clearly fewer cases of COVID, fewer deaths, they're not as, I don't want to say taking it seriously because I think people are, but not as afraid, right? Not as crowded, so they know they can go out and do things safely. Anyway, in the, for instance, the Rochester-Austin market, our showings were actually up by 30% last week over the same week last year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really good, especially since how we have less inventory, but more showing. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there's some pent-up buyers ready to get out there and buy a house, ready to jump on this interest rate, and now they feel comfortable doing it. So after a week of having our shelter in lifted, we are starting to see a change.
Well, that certainly is welcome for folks who are either buying or selling, I imagine.
Correct.
In other parts of the greater Minnesota, they have also seen increases, so that kind of goes along with exactly what you've been saying as well. Your predictions concerning a pent-up demand, and hopefully that'll lead to additional activity.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed this part, but in a recent National Association of Realtors study, they interviewed potential sellers, and 3 out of 4, so 77% of them said they are preparing their house for sale. As soon as the stay-at-home order in their state is lifted, they want a for sale sign up in their yard. So
right.
Again, yeah, this is great.
I was thinking about this after our show last week, that if you are the person who is in the market to upgrade,
yeah,
this might be the absolute perfect time to do it because of the market conditions. That if you're in that home already, that's that $200,000 to $300,000+ range, which is, you've told me that you're still getting multiple offers for those homes because there's a shortage of inventory. But at the other end of it, if you're moving up to that maybe $400,000 to $500,000 range, that's where the demand isn't as strong. So maybe that presents an opportunity for somebody like that.
So smart. Get ahead of it because people are going to catch on that, things are back to normal. Yep, it's true. Prices are not going to bottom out. We're not going to have some big crash. If we're going to do this and move forward, we better do it. So beat the rush.
And the other statistic I gathered this week on my own without you pointing it out to me, which you always do, but in the Twin Cities, even with what you pointed out was a little bit of a softer market, but still not all that soft, the median sale price edged up over $300,000 in the Twin Cities market this week.
Right. Yeah, our prices are not going down. Not. No matter what anybody's going to tell you, I promise you, real estate prices are not going down.
And that makes it, that makes this economic downturn so much different than the previous downturn.
Yeah, two completely different animals.
Yeah. It also gives me a great deal of hope.
Me too.
That it
Me
will
too.
be that V curve for a recovery that we all hope for.
Every time we hear of something new opening or something coming back, it's like, okay, it's just, it lifts you up a little bit further each time. And, when we got the email this week that open houses are allowed again, it was like, oh, this is awesome. So even though kind of a crappy weekend to start on, because I've never been a believer in open houses on a holiday weekend, I think people have better things to do. So, but starting this weekend, open houses are allowed. Starting next weekend, we will start holding our listings open again. So I'm really excited about that.
So did the government or did they come up with guidance on how to best do that, to hold open houses?
Oh, yeah. And they give a strict protocol. Limit the number of people, no more than 10 at a time. If you have people that aren't from the same group, they have to stay the 6 feet apart. As agents, we have to provide hand sanitizer, gloves, shoe booties, and it's also our responsibility to encourage all visitors to wear masks, okay? They want us to keep the properties as low contact as possible. So in other words, leave the cabinet doors hanging open, leave the bedroom doors open, so people aren't opening the doors, but rather they're just walking through. Things that you and I have talked about, like when you asked me, how do we do the showings now? So same sort of a thing. Differences, like a lot of times when you used to walk into an open house, there would be an ink pen there and a sign-in sheet, and they would expect you to pick up the ink pen and sign the sheet. They're asking us not to do that. They're asking us not to give out business cards, not to give out paper brochures. So nothing that I'm going to touch and then give it to you to touch, that kind of a thing. Okay. So if somebody's interested in getting more information, then I would just stand there and they would verbally tell me their contact information while I put it into my own cell phone. Just avoid those unnecessary, you touch it, I touch it.
Is there
things.
Is there any sort of requirement that you have to give them instructions as they come through? That
I think that would be our responsibility, and I'm guessing that what we will do is we will type up a posted, like you see on doors at stores, what we expect. And we would just say, upon entry, speak to the agent about what the expectations are.
I wonder.
And they actually want us to be at the door to open the door, so it'll be really easy to do that as well. I
wonder if there'll be a difference in the type of person you see at the open house. If these folks, are probably, I'm imagining that they're going to probably be a bit more serious about being in the market.
Exactly. They're not going to just be out looky-loos, right? They're not just going to go see what's the latest paint color or what are people using for flooring, because it'll be easier during these times to just sit at home and do that online than run around and go through all this procedure. So I think you're right. I think the people attending open houses are going to be very serious buyers.
And you mentioned that it's open now. People can have open houses, but with Gwaltney Group, you're not really doing that until the following week, right? Correct.
Yep, we're not doing any this weekend. So, but next weekend, and then guess what else is going to happen next weekend? The Builder Parade of Homes.
Okay. Well, tell you what, let's talk about that when we get back from our quick break.
Okay, sounds good.
Fantastic. Back in just a moment with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. I'm Andy Brownell, along with Robin Gwaltney. Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Robin, you mentioned a big weekend this weekend.
Well, it'll be
next
actually
weekend.
Yes. So actually, normally the Builders Spring Showcase is 2 separate weekends. Okay, so it's usually 2 separate weekends where the properties are open Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Well, this year, when it was supposed to start, it was right in the middle of stay-at-home order, so they had to get creative, and they did. There had been, I think, 31 or 33 builders entered. So instead of just calling it a wash, the Builders Association hired a company to go out and do virtual Matterport tours of each of the entries. Have you ever seen one of those or walked through one of those, Andy?
No, I was going to ask you, what are you talking about?
So if you go on my website, we're doing that now on all our listings as well. So it's literally a 3D. So it's the pictures of the house, but then it's put into a 3D situation, so you feel like you're walking through the house. Sort of like I feel like I'm in a video game.
Okay.
So you're like, you can see, okay, now this is the kitchen. When I go to the right, this is the dining area. So you can actually get the lay of the land, and you can see it from a bird's eye view. You can look down as if you've tore the roof off the house, and you're looking on top of it and looking in, and you can see the floor plan. It is actually really neat, and it's helped people who haven't been able to get out and look at the properties, or at least it's given them a good enough idea of what the property looks like to decide whether or not they want to come look at it. So it's an extra thing that we've started to do since the COVID stuff and more people looking online. But anyway, the Builders Association did that with all of the entries to the Parade of Homes. And then instead of just running it 2 weekends, they thought, well, we've got the videos now. So it's actually out on the website, and it started on May 9th, and it's going to be available all the way through May 31st. So any day and any time you have the ability to go look at that part of it. But they decided that since the stay-at-home order has been lifted, like you and I have said many, many times, nothing fully replaces being able to physically walk through a property, right?
Sure.
So they've decided that the last weekend, which is the 30th and 31st, will have the traditional open house Parade of Homes Spring Showcase.
And that's still the 31 homes that were originally
It is. All the original entries, yeah. And it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. both Saturday and Sunday. And there will be some rules. Just like other open houses, people must wear a mask. It's not an option at the Builders Parade. So you absolutely have to wear a mask or you won't be allowed in. And they will be providing masks at the homes, I'm sure. But anyway, there will be a limit of 10 people in a home at a time, and they will expect people to keep their distance. So the builders will be wearing a mask, the realtors will be wearing a mask, and everybody that comes out to look will be wearing a mask.
Will you need to sign up or make some sort of reservation for this?
How you do it is you go to find out like where the houses are, where the entries are and stuff. It's RochesterAreaBuilders.com. /Spring Showcase.
Oh, okay. That has all the addresses.
Yeah, it does. All the details.
So the advantage for folks to go out and check this kind of thing out is it more or less to kind of see what might be in your price range and what you could expect, or is it?
Well, to me, I think it's a great time to meet builders because if you are considering building a house, you want to figure out who's the right builder for you. So oftentimes, as like I'll speak from a personal standpoint, as your realtor, I will introduce you to some realtors who I think will be a good fit for you, for the type of house you're buying, etc. But if somebody just has no idea where to start, or they just want to meet a builder, or maybe their realtor has mentioned the name of a builder and they want to now go see the work of this builder, or even they've already met with the builder and they know that's who they want to build with, and now is an opportunity to go see a work in progress. So, I mean, there's a lot to be gained from it. It's a great time to, like I say, experience the actual work of the builder and meet with the builder. So it's awesome.
I imagine it's much like working with a realtor. There's a lot of personality driven things here, that how you interact with that person.
How your communication skills click, and what your expectations are, and some builders are men of few words, and if you're okay with that, you're good, and others will become your best friend. So it's just it's very similar to finding a doctor that's right for you, or finding a realtor that's right for you. I mean, that relationship has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, and you're gonna be spending quite a bit of time with this person, or at least speaking with this person. That's for sure. And
they're helping you do something that's pretty big and important. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, so you can go online and get a sneak peek, pretty intense sneak peek now, but it'll be next weekend we can actually visit these homes.
But I feel like that virtual Matterport tour is going to let people be able to say which of the homes on the tour, because it's hard to get to all of them. So I think that's going to be a really good tool to help people decide which ones they want to get to for sure. Sure. And which ones they may want to get to. So, yeah, I think it's just an added feature that's going to be really beneficial to everybody.
I imagine that's been the case with your website as well, right? That
absolutely.
It narrows down how many you actually physically have to go see.
Yeah, and we're noticing that, you put a house on the market, you get 1 or 2 showings, you have an offer. Well, I'm sure that those people have already seen it. They kind of know what it is. They come out, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Boom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been helpful.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the interesting thing going forward, all these fixes that have been put in place, or as we've dealt with what has become an emergency, and how how many stick around as being really useful tools as we head into more normalcy over the next months ahead of us. That's for sure.
Exactly.
We'll take another quick break here, and we'll continue talking about the Rochester real estate scene with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results, on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Welcome back. I'm Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results. We're talking about Rochester real estate this week on this Saturday morning, Memorial Day weekend. And we've kind of shifted over the past week since the last time we spoke. We went from stay at home to stay safe as far as what the Minnesota governor has us doing in regards to the pandemic, and that's loosened up all sorts of things. And we have the promise ahead of us of additional loosening of restrictions on various areas of commerce. You have open houses coming up next week, and I think you mentioned earlier in this program that there's a survey that shows there's a whole lot of folks out there indicating that they're ready to put their homes on the market. And they're
correct. Getting them ready. Remember, we talked about how busy Home Depot and Menards and all those places have been, so these houses are going to look fantastic.
So we might actually see a boost in inventory coming up over the next few months.
Which would be really awesome. So if we're looking here at the inventory data that was provided to me by CMAR, in 2018, in the month of April, 1,216 houses came on the market, okay? Or were on the market, ready for sale. And then in 2019, that number was up a little bit, 1,379. And here we are in 2020, hopefully coming out of this pandemic, but I guess still in the midst of it, right? With 1,123 homes available. So yes, inventory is low, but it's not. There are still some houses out there, and with 3 out of 4 potential sellers preparing their houses and getting ready to get those on the market, there's going to be more inventory coming. So all of this together makes for a beautiful picture because, yes, inventory is low. We're used to that. It's been low, but there are going to be more houses hitting the market. If you're a seller, prices are still great. You're getting good money for your homes. If you're a buyer, interest rates are still incredibly low, so you're borrowing your money for really cheap, which helps your payment. So the way I look at it, we have a really healthy real estate market, whether you're a seller or a buyer, and I'd say don't waste any time. I don't know how long these rates are going to stay like this, but every time somebody tells me I locked in today at 2.75, I locked in at 2.77, I locked in at 2.8, I'm so excited. I mean, it just means so much to the payment, and it means so much to what they're gonna repay over the course of that loan.
And what I see from this is that low interest rate and the potential to get that, the upgrade home. We talked about that just a little bit earlier.
Right.
That little window might not be there for all that long, because as more and more people put their homes into the market, that will be more and more people also being potentially in the market for those upgrade homes.
Andy, I think you've made a subconscious decision to upgrade. I don't know if you've talked to your wife about this yet.
The market trend, it's interesting when you present these updates to me, these statistics, and you can kind of see patterns in them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch. And that perhaps even most interesting to me is that the numbers are nowhere near as bad as what I think the perception is. That you would think, with the gloom and doom headlines we see every day about the nation's economy, that would be reflected in these real estate numbers, and they're not. I mean,
right,
they're
exactly.
down, but they're not down that much.
No, and I do believe that the real estate market and the home sales is going to be a key driver in the recovery of the economy. And I've said that all along. And I also believe that the more normal things look at Mayo Clinic, the more normal things are going to look in our Rochester and surrounding area market. And that's all proving to be true, because as people are coming back to work and it's looking more lively downtown and around the hospital and around the clinic, so is our numbers, and now we're going to start to do open houses. So it's it's like we're starting the very, very early stages of spring, in a sense of the word, like there's now buds on the trees and they're going to start to blossom. So we're a little, it's end of May, but as far as what's happening in our real estate market, we're a few months behind, but it's all going to happen.
It's going to coincide with some really nice weather, I imagine.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Because we've been kind of waiting for the summer stuff, and it's not quite showing up as quickly as we'd hope. So next weekend, I imagine. I don't know. I haven't looked at the long-range forecast when you start doing open houses.
Yeah, it'll be perfect. It'll be beautiful. And
That's
I think,
hoping.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think everybody will be. It'll feel fun to be out, and it'll be fun to interact with people. And yeah, it's exciting.
And we've talked about this before as well. That I think every week that goes on, every day that goes on, as we continue to edge back into normal life with our new safety guidelines in place, we're all kind of getting used to it. It's no longer awkward.
No, exactly. No, I agree 100%. I'm now looking at everybody's masks like, oh, that's a cute one. Yeah.
What was some of the brand names? Will have to come out with brand name masks.
Yeah,
Louis
we've got
Vuitton
ours.
mask.
Oh, I've seen them. I've seen them on Facebook. I have. And we've got a Remax one. We've got a Gwaltney Group one. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
All right. So next weekend we look forward to open houses. If you've got a home ready to go, or are you thinking about buying a home, how do we get a hold of Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results?
Absolutely. Anytime. Call me on my cell phone, 507-259-4926. Would love to answer any questions you might have.
All right, fantastic, Robin. And you enjoy the rest of this Memorial Day weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds great. You do the same. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results right here on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.